Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today, we are speaking with a 33-year-old health and fitness coach from Palm Harbor, Florida, who has two daughters. She started competing in 2016 and earned her pro card at the 2021 NPC Junior USA Championships. Welcome to the show, Jessica Miller. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing on peak week number 4 right now, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited. Very excited.
Yes, good. You've been killing it. It's been so fun just watching everything unfold, and I'm excited to talk to you about that today, as well as so many other things. But I got to ask if there is something you do or ritual you might have right before your heel hits the stage.
Actually, yes, my kids usually write me a note, and I don't look at it until show day, usually that morning. And I take the note with me backstage, and then I read it. I get all teary-eyed, and that's my motivation on stage right there, to just do what I love and to show these girls that, you know, your determination and anything that you do can bring you success.
Wow. That is so cool. And how long have they been writing you a note?
This just started probably, I'd say 2 years ago. Well, my oldest one is 9 and my youngest one is 6. So my 6-year-old just learned how to, write. She's still not properly writing things, but I get the gist of it.
It's the thought that counts. And I'm sure you can feel the love when you open it.
Oh my gosh, yes. And there's usually always pictures with it. Aww. And, it's definitely, it's heartwarming because I cherish being a mom and an athlete. So it does take a lot of time away from them sometimes. And so it is definitely different and hard to balance things, but you definitely find a way when you want something so badly. So.
So true. And you speak a lot about how your girls are your biggest motivation. So I was wondering if they're part of the reason or any part of the reason you got into fitness.
Ooh, that's a good question. Actually, the biggest reason I got into fitness was that when I was 16, my dad had cancer and he passed away. And that was a very hard moment in my life. I eternally I was hurting, and I became unhealthy, and I started running 20 to 25 miles a day and eating one meal a day, basically torturing myself because I was hurting, internally, and learned very fast when I got to be about 71 pounds that is not the way that I needed to live my life, and that I needed to change something or I was going to die. And that was really the moment where I said, I can't do this anymore. I need to be healthy. My dad would want me to be healthy. And I started, going to the gym and working out and eating properly. And the people at the gym became my family. And I think that was the biggest motivation for me. I didn't start competing until after my first child. I think what motivated me there was heartbreak, to be honest. I was married, and we ended up getting a divorce. And so I really just wanted to prove to myself that I didn't need to have love or a man in order to succeed in my life, that I could do it all on my own. And I wanted to be the healthiest version of me. So that's really where it started.
Wow. That is really incredible. So when your father passed away from cancer, it really took a toll on you naturally, of course. And was the were you an athlete before and you just took it to the next level of like one
Yes.
meal? Okay.
Yes, girl. So I actually, so growing up, I played 17 years of soccer. I was a soccer player. Went to college, played 2 years in college of soccer. And I also was a track runner. So I definitely have a background of being athletic. It's just, when that all happened, I started to, I didn't know how to handle it as a 16-year-old. You think about it and you think about yourself as 16 and, there's so many emotions and hormones going on. And I think just knowing that I was never going to see my dad again and knowing that, when I did have kids, he would never be able to meet my kids or walk me down the aisle. I think that it just really got to me. And more so was, I had to watch my dad die. And so that was very hard. A almost 200-pound man, becoming about, 100 pounds and having to pick him up and bring him to the toilet because he couldn't walk or, he couldn't eat anymore. It was very hard at age 16 to see all that and to go through that.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean,
yeah,
that's incredibly difficult. It sounds like you guys were close too, because you were taking care of him a lot, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I went and visited him. He actually lived about an hour and a half away. But he was the biggest reason as to why I was such an athlete. So growing up, he kind of pushed me. I went, I don't know if you went through this phase, but as girls, we tend to, grow. And when you go through that growing phase, sometimes you can get a little belly on you. And I had a little bit of a belly.
Oh, yeah, girl.
Yeah, he would push me to get out and either play basketball or, volleyball or tennis and go on bike rides. And so he was the main reason why I loved sports so much. So I definitely, every time I step on that stage, I feel his presence. It's very hard to explain, but I feel it. And so I think that's a lot of the reason why I will never give up on this sport and in this industry, because I love it so much and it makes me feel close to him.
I'm getting teary-eyed.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about, but honestly, I feel like I was meant for this. And so for me, I feel like the journey has brought me here for a reason, and I will never stop until it's not fun anymore, until it's not enjoyable anymore.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, like really channeling that enjoyment and the health and the commitment to yourself that your dad instilled in you is meaningful for you.
Oh yeah. He's a big part of who I am. So it definitely helps. And, now only having one parent, my mom is amazing. She comes to every show. She hasn't missed one show of mine, which is incredible. I would say she's probably my biggest fan for sure. So, yeah.
I was crying earlier. Actually, I had a bit of a breakdown myself because my mom passed now I'm going to cry and I don't want to take that away, but my mom passed in 2021. And
oh my gosh,
today I was just, it's okay. Today I was crying because I haven't stepped on stage since she passed, and she didn't get to come to any of my shows in 2020, which was super hard for her because she had been to every show. Like you're saying, your mom comes to every show. So it was hard not having her in 2020, but there was always that hope and that feeling like, oh, it's okay. There's going to be another show. There's going to be a show. There isn't, and there wasn't. And being in peak week for this show, it means a lot more, but
she is definitely, one thing I can tell you is, my dad didn't ever get to see me as well. But you're going to be able to feel her on that stage. And if there's one thing I can kind of give you advice on is, I actually have a Bible of my dad's, and I bring that with me as well. And I think if you maybe can bring something that is very close to you, that maybe was your mom's, or, anything that's meaningful that makes you feel close to her, I would definitely bring that to you with your show, because you're going to feel her presence and she'll be there with you. it's definitely sentimental. And I think that's something that's very important when you do these type of things, is to make sure that you're doing them for the right reasons. And I think that's being that it was only a year ago. I think that would be very motivational to you and inspiring.
Thank you for that. I agree. I actually, we didn't get to open, we were going to do like FaceTime of like opening Christmas gifts together. We never did. But anyway, once we finally opened them without her, there was a bracelet, actually really shiny bracelet. And she had written on it, that she had hoped I could wear it on stage, and actually that's what I'm gonna wear. So
girl, that just gave me shivers all over my body. Oh my gosh,
I know. So that's comforting. And just hearing you talk about your dad's experience stuff, or your experience with feeling your dad's presence and your experience with losing your dad, is really touching to me. And definitely, like, it's definitely important, I think, to have these conversations too. And there's so much more going on in most of our lives than I think people see, even if we talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, you see a picture now, and, that's a big thing. That's actually one of I absolutely dislike this, but when people just put an emoji on a picture, it's like, read the caption, man. There's usually a meaning to the picture,
Totally.
It drives me insane. So there, the meaning is what is everything. And I think, I know you're going to crush this show, girl. And I think that people just judge off base of pictures, but they don't know what's really going on in your life. They don't know the ins and outs. And that's why I think it's really cool that you're doing this podcast, because you get to share more in and outs, about yourself and about other people.
Exactly. That's really the intention. And I'm glad that you see it that way. And I do want to hear more about your kids, and especially now, like, because you are a parent and they're very special to you. And do they come to your shows as well with your mom?
So yes, they actually came to 2 of my shows this year. I did 2 shows in Orlando, and they absolutely love going to the Orlando shows. They usually play at the pool. There's usually always that really cool pool at that Hyatt. And then, they'll come and they'll sit in the audience, and all I can hear is, "Go, mommy." I'm like, that's my kid. So it's cool because I can actually hear them on stage, and usually I can't hear anybody, but it's different when you're a parent. You just know your kid, your kid, their voice, their cries when they're babies, all of that good stuff. So definitely is very inspiring to me that my kids get to watch me do what I love so much, and they get to cheer me on.
I think that's so cool. And you've posted so many videos working out with your kids too, or going out with them. Like, they're super involved in your lifestyle, which I was watching. Yeah. I don't know, girl, I was doing my research and I saw like these cute videos of them like running with a parachute and like training with you. And it was just really cool. And knowing they're so involved and you're so involved in their life, has it ever been difficult for you to maintain or manage your energy because of your commitment to your goals as well as to them?
Ooh, that's a good one. So it is difficult. Both of my kids were in 2 different activities at the same time as I was trying to win my pro card last year. And that was a rough one. But what I can say is I will never take anything away from my kids. So regardless if I'm an IFBB pro and I want to do a show or not, that is on me. I'm the adult. I will not take that away from my kids, because they also need to enjoy their lives and what they do. And the best thing that they can do is to be active. So, I managed to try to figure it out. I also, my ex-husband and I, we work very well together. He's remarried with 2 other beautiful little kids. They have 2 brothers. And so it does work out very well to where I can, if something happens, I can message, their dad or their stepmom, and they will, help out. So it is definitely good having a relationship, a good relationship with my ex-husband and his new wife as well.
That is really, really cool. Because if that helps you to like meet their needs or demands that maybe you can't in the moment, or if you have to adjust
Yes.
things for yourself, like that's really cool. Or for them too, to be able to call on you, I'm sure.
Right. Exactly. And the good thing is, most of our family lives here. So we do have help if something were to happen. But, I also share custody with my kids. So, the time that I do have them, I like my time to be with them. I don't like my time to be taken away from them. So I try to figure out, okay, today I have to pick up my kids and it's my time with my kids. So I try to get everything done before I go and I, pick up my kids for the day. So I think having a schedule, being structured in that manner helps me a lot, just like it does with the gym. I'm a very structured person and kind of like a robot, if you may. So, yeah, I mean, I try not to get anxious or anything if something doesn't go the way it's supposed to, but I am a very structured person. So I like to try to balance things out for my kids.
And is there anything that you've experienced in your past that you feel impacts the way that you show up for or raise your daughters?
Um, yeah. I grew up in a not so great environment with an abusive environment. So I think seeing that, I wanted to make sure that my kids never felt like that and never saw those things and never grew up like that. And so I definitely think that's been a huge part of the way I raised them. I never wanted to be that mom that beat my kids either.
Yeah.
So I try to have a very open relationship with my kids to where they can speak freely, respectfully, and be honest with me. So I do feel like my kids can talk to me freely, and they've been very open about certain things, and I think that has helped our relationship too with my kids.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's a really great way to apply what you've been through and learn from it rather than repeating a cycle.
Exactly. Exactly. And we all make mistakes, but I think, I think growing up and everybody has this, whether it be, they don't want to be like their mom, or they don't want to be like their dad, or they don't want to do this or that. I think we take certain things that have happened to us and we say, I don't want to be like this. I'm not going to be like this when I'm older. And I think a lot of that was for me. I didn't want to be so strict on my kids. I feel like growing up, having an ex stepdad who was a cop, it was heck for me. It was very strict. And I felt like when I did end up getting to be a little bit older, I ended up rebelling, and not in ways that I would have liked. So I think, I was still a very good kid. So I can't say that I was a bad kid. I've never been in trouble. I've always been really by the book, honestly. But I think I didn't want that for my kids. I want my kids to speak to me openly, and I want my kids still to have structure and discipline, but I also, I want them to understand that, I don't know how to explain it, that there's consequences for your actions, and, you have to be responsible, and I shouldn't have to beat you or, scare you in order to make you feel like you have to do those things. I did not want them to feel that way.
And that's a really positive environment for them to grow up in. And you're probably seeing that impact on them by having the ability to speak freely or be themselves.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that they feel more comfortable with you rather than restricted.
They're a hoot, girl. Let me tell you, they are sassy and they are a hoot.
That's so cute.
A
lot of parents struggle, I think, with the I should say a lot of competitors who are parents or people who want to compete but haven't, and their parents struggle with the food aspect of parenting and competing and always wanting to take their kids' food. And I know this might be kind of random, but I would like to hear your perspective on this. Like, how do you navigate things like cooking for them or packing their food or going to birthday parties?
Yeah. So those things, actually, I get this question asked to me all the time, to be honest. Food doesn't bother me. I think me eating so good and so clean for so long now, it doesn't bother me. I mean, maybe some parents have an issue with that, but I honestly don't. I also always have certain different alternatives to healthier foods for them. Both of my kids eat pretty healthy as it is. So I think, instead of making a huge chocolate brownie cake, we will make a sugar-free chocolate brownie cake. Or I'm also sponsored by Beauty Fit, and they have awesome protein. So we'll make a Beauty Fit vanilla Vixen brownie cake, or something that's healthier, and a healthier option. And they love it. They never have an issue with it. They can't even tell the difference most of the time. So, to me, I feel like, there's always different alternatives. You can't make excuses like that, because you just have to find a healthier version that your kids like so that you can feed it to them. As for packing lunches and things like that, again, they eat really healthy. So we do a lot of chicken. We do a lot of, right now we do a lot of peanut butter and jellies. They're stuck on that. Peanut butter and jelly is like their thing right now. And if anybody knows me, I'm obsessed with peanut butter and almond butter, all the nuts, all the nut butters.
Okay.
I love them. I love them, girl. So I love everything, that has to do with, like almond butter and cashew, all those things. But, yeah, so, cooking dinner is very easy. They usually eat at the counter, and I just eat my meal. I stay to a structured meal, and it doesn't bother them. They actually like my meals too. So I can actually cook them fish and rice, or, steak and rice, and they'll eat it within 2 seconds. They love it. So
love that. I like that a lot, because you're normalizing it where it doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be like, this is what we're eating, or how, like, I'm almost positive that if I grew up in a house that ate, like, let's say chicken and rice or steak and rice, I would never have felt restricted, because I was eating things like corn dogs or hamburger helper. It was just whatever was put on the table. I ate because I was told I needed to eat. So it's not that that's what people have to do who are listening, but I do think it's an interesting and different perspective to be like, well, what if this is what they, and we've had other moms on the podcast who will say, like, they make it a little bit more interesting. Like, maybe for their kids, it's like there's spaghetti noodles, but for them it's like zoodles. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yes. And that's what I mean. There's, you go to the fresh market, and there's so many different options. These kids don't know the difference. Okay. So you put the sauce on it and you put some turkey meatballs in there. They're not going to know anything different. They're going to eat it and go, oh, this is great. And in fact, it might even taste better to them. You don't know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I definitely am not, that's never an issue. Eating to us is never an issue. Nope.
And we definitely don't, like, we can instill biases in people too, especially those who like look up to us, or I know, especially in a parenting relationship with their kids, like if a parent's like, ew, broccoli, the kids can be like, yeah, ew, but like you're like excited, it's different.
Yep, exactly. It starts from a young age too. You feed your kids those type of things from a young age, they're going to continue to eat them. So, I mean, it's all about how it's sad to say, but it's all about how you're training your kids, kind of like training a dog, right? So it's like, it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you hope they gain from seeing you doing this lifestyle, pursuing this lifestyle, being part of the industry, chasing your dreams as a competitor? Like, what do you want them to see in that?
Good question. My determination, honestly, and, having to work for what you want, because, this doesn't come easy. And if it came easy, I don't think it would be fun anymore for me. I like challenges, and I like criticism. As much as I also don't like it, I love it because it it makes us who we are, and you always have something to work on. And if you don't have something to work on, where's the enjoyment in that? So honestly, I think them seeing me overcome challenges and obstacles, I think I definitely want them to see that. I want them to see that you have to put in work for things that you want. Because a lot of these kids now, I think, it's all social media and things just are supposed to be easy and mommy and daddy buy them everything. And that's not how it goes in my household. So, that, and I would love for both of my girls to be a IFBB Pro someday.
They say they want to do that?
Honestly, I don't know if you saw this, but I posted a little video either yesterday or the day before
of them posing.
Yes.
That's so cute.
They do it all the time, and it's so funny because usually they have like either their little bikinis on or their dresses on, and they are so obsessed with my heels. So they'll just come out and they'll do their little thing, do their little hair flip and their routine.
That is so cool.
Yeah, they love it. And I think my youngest one will be the one that really wants to work out with me. She's the one that always wants to work out. So yeah, that'll be fun.
That is super cool. And now this is on the flip side. Is there anything you wouldn't want them to think about this sport or think about you?
Well, let's bring this up. I was not in the best relationship. I just got out of, and they heard some things that were not the nicest words to say about competitors. And so I definitely don't want them to think anything bad of being a competitor or doing what we do, because I think it's an honor to be able to step on that stage. And I think it's, it's way more than what people realize, is that you have to have confidence in yourself. And, I guess where I'm trying to get to is I hope they see the work ethic that I have. And, I can't really say much negative about what I do, because I love it. And I think it's beautiful. And I think it's an art. And, I think it's saved my life many times. So, I guess I don't really have anything bad to say. I don't see how they would think anything bad. So hoping that they don't get anything bad from this.
Yeah, I think that's really a good way of looking at it. It's kind of like our perspective or perception can become anyone else's. So how we talk about this is something anyone I think would benefit from knowing, but it's like how we talk about competing teaches people in our life who actually, love us and care about us and respect us, like how to talk about it too. Like if we're always complaining, then they're going to want to complain. If
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And that's one thing I will definitely say. It was hard in the beginning. I think when they were younger, like my little one was still in diapers. I think it was harder then. I could see myself complaining a little bit, but now I don't complain, because here's the thing. I chose to do this. I choose to do each show. I don't have to do each show. I don't have to do a show. I don't have to compete at all, but I choose to do it. So I'm not going to complain about something that I enjoy doing. So I guess, that to me, is very important, that they see, that honestly, you shouldn't be complaining about something that you love. If you love it, then you go after it. You chose to do that. So you do it, and you do it with all your heart.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Like knowing this is a choice, not a chore, and reinforcing that.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's easy to forget in the hard moments, but then also like when we're in that, we can go, wait, like step back. What is this hard moment teaching me? Like, didn't I choose this? And aren't I so blessed to be able to be challenged in this way?
Exactly, girl. That you took the words right out of my mouth. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And I think being a competitor, like you're going to face ups and downs. You're going to, like you said, there's criticism. We love it because it makes us improve. There's also criticism that we're like, oh, really? But you've been competing for a long time now, since 2016. And I want to go through your journey, because if I'm not mistaken, you competed in figure too.
Nope, not figure, in actually wellness.
Wellness.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
when did you decide, like, talk to us more about that?
Man.
Like, why?
Okay. Yeah. So, I had struggled to get my pro card. And, it just, every time it was, usually I ended up in sixth place. I would keep getting first call outs at national shows. And I'm like, what is wrong? Like, what is this? And, I would come off of just winning an overall. And so I would be like, I'm not understanding. And it was always my quads. I have huge quads, but I was a soccer player and track runner. I mean, it's very hard to get down years and years of quads. So it's not so much in my front pose, but when I turn to the back, I have huge quad sweeps. So it does make my glutes appear not as big as what they really are. And, kind of takes away from that X factor, which I'm still trying to improve on to this day. So I think, being told, your quads, I didn't really know what wellness was going to be about. I mean, we all saw it, but we didn't really know what it was going to amount to. So I figured, what the heck? Let's just try this division. Let's see what it's about. Let's see how big I can grow. And so I did the Tampa Pro, and I ended up coming in, I can't remember, I think it was fifth. But I just knew that it would be at least 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 years of growing if I really wanted to be competitive in the wellness division. And I'm still such a small framed girl. I mean, my hands are tiny. My wrists are tiny. I'm a very small boned girl. So, I just wasn't amounting up. They kept telling me, I did 2 shows and they kept telling me, they said, you just still look bikini. And so I said, okay, you know what? I tried it. It didn't work. I am still a bikini competitor. I went back to the drawing board and was like, all right, this is the year I'm going to get my pro card. It's happening. And I ended up, achieving that finally at the Junior USAs. So that was a very special moment for me. And I think it was even more special because it was like it's the first, national show of the year. And then I knew that I could take time off to really build before I stepped on the pro stage. So
I mean, that's interesting that you went and you competed in wellness, because that was the feedback you were getting. Now, did you feel like you needed to train quads even harder when you decided, okay, I'm going to go do that? Or did you just go as you were?
Oh yeah. The fun part was I actually enjoyed training for wellness. I really enjoyed it. So I got to go back to the drawing board and I got to, train any way that I wanted. I didn't have to do sumo stance everything and glute focused everything only. And it was like, I could finally work out the way I wanted. So I did truly enjoy it. But, I will say the look on me that looks better is definitely bikini, but I did enjoy my training better when I did wellness because I definitely was able to hit my quads and not worry about them flaring out and them getting bigger. That was the whole point of competing in wellness. So it was exciting, but when it got down to it, it was going to take me longer to get a wellness pro card than it was to get a IFBB bikini pro card. So I had to say, you know what? I tried it and it didn't work. So I'm going to go back to what I know.
Now, if you had gotten your pro card in wellness, would you have competed as a wellness pro or a bikini pro?
Oh, probably wellness pro for sure. I probably would have. Yes. If I was big enough and I got my pro card in wellness, yeah, I would have for sure.
That's cool. And was the peaking process different?
It was different. I had to come in fuller And this was also like my first time really peaking to try to look fuller. So I do think I overspilled a little bit on stage, just because I was not used to eating so many carbs at that point. But I also had a different coach back then. So now I have a completely different coach. So I think the peaking processes were definitely different with wellness, than bikini. Whereas bikini, I felt like, the look back then is I was starving a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
So definitely different. I was eating so much in wellness, and I was not even eating even half as much in bikini. So definitely a huge difference in food for sure.
And was that because you needed to stay full and keep as much fat? Okay.
Yes. Because I'm such a small framed girl, I was trying to bring a full package, and, I appeared softer too. And I was trying to figure out, we were trying to figure out for stage, is wellness softer or is wellness harder? Is wellness, is that okay to bring condition for wellness? Is it not? I mean, it was so new that I really didn't know what to do. So we kind of tried two different things for two different shows, and neither one of them really worked. I did have two different looks, but definitely I will say now that I'm IFBB Pro, I probably eat just as much, if not more, being an IFBB Pro now, than I did in wellness, which is pretty crazy.
And is that because of how much you've grown and
yes.
on? Okay.
Yes. Yes. And I also think a lot of that has to do with, my new coach and how he trained me in my off season. I was eating a lot more in my off season. So coming into prep, I could kind of stay that cycle. And then, once you get lean enough and you strip it all down for the first show, then your metabolism is spiked, and it's like, feed me, feed me. And I'm a very conditioned athlete. So knowing that I don't want to be too conditioned now with what they're looking for, they don't want you to be too conditioned. So definitely being able to eat more helps me a lot.
Right. That's true. Without risking looking like full or like spilled over.
Yes.
Or a string bean. Yeah. If you don't
that's exactly what I was going to say. You just took the word out of my mouth.
I thought I heard that coming, and I was like, I think that's where she was going.
Yep. You got it, girl.
Oh man. I felt like I looked like that at USA's because I didn't have enough muscle, but we needed to get really conditioned. And then on top of that, like I was depleted going into the show. I thought I looked better, like honestly, like 3 or 4 days out. And I was probably like 3 or 4 pounds heavier at that point. I thought looked better. And I think it's that fine balance. And you're like trying to find what works and what judges want. So you competed in, well, how many national shows did you do before winning your pro card?
Oh man, I think I did 7. I think I did 7. Yeah. It was either 6 or 7. I did Miami National my first year ever. So that was my first one. And then I did that 2 more times. So that's 3 right there. I competed at Junior USA's where I got my pro cards. That's 4. And then what other one? I went to Chicago for the, I think it's called Junior Nationals. So maybe it was only 5. Yep, 5 shows. So yeah, I mean, I liked Miami a lot. I really wanted to win my pro card there, but
because of the show or because of your look?
I love the show. I love Miami Nationals. I don't know what it is about there. I love it. But I also, I knew that I needed to grow more. I knew that, being a smaller framed girl, I needed to grow, and I needed to look, my legs needed to look a little more streamlined. And so I knew I needed a little bit more time to do that. So, I liked my look the best when I won my pro card, of course. So that definitely, I look at those pictures and I'm like, I love it. But now being a pro, I love my look even better. I feel like I continually get better. And That's what we're trying to do, is we're continually trying to get better each time we step on stage.
Did you know that you had nailed it at Junior USA's?
I felt it. Yeah. I, the minute I stepped on that stage, first off, I got trembles all over my body because I felt my dad. I literally felt him. I've never felt it so much, to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, I feel him.
Was it a conscious awareness before stepping on stage, or was it just it hit you?
No, it hit me, girl. It hit me. I never felt more confident ever in my life. I didn't even blink. I mean, I didn't even have to second guess anything. I just went through everything perfectly. I was not nervous. It was my show. It was my show to win. And I think all the stars aligned, and sometimes that just happens, and it happens perfectly in sync. And it was just my day. It was just my day.
That's really cool. And since then, of course, I know your goal is to get to the Olympia stage. So what's been your feedback this season thus far, and what are you doing to get there?
Yeah. So my criticism so far is they continue to say bigger shoulders. And so one thing I can say is that like I've said before, I have a very dominant bottom half, very dominant. So I can agree with that. Maybe having a little bit more shoulders for sure. Or maybe what we've done is we've tried to tweak my posing this time for this next show, and to see if I'm going to try it out and see how it looks and how the judges say I look on stage. And I tweaked my front pose a little bit to make my quad look just a little bit smaller. And then I am tweaking my back pose, where I can no longer have my toes outward at all. Because my quad sweep just goes boom, here we are. And then my glutes actually appear flatter and not rounder. So I also have this season had a hard time. I have a huge natural arch in my back. It's huge. I've always had it. I'm very, very flexible. I used to tumble. So I think that is very hard for me on stage. I'd say that's one of my downfalls, is I tend to arch, because as you know, when you are not so solidly full and you're a little, depleted, when you go to get in your back stance and you go to push just slightly a little bit, if you can't feel it, you're like, I don't feel it. So you go to push a little bit more. Right. And so, for me, I think my first show, I was so nervous. First off, I knew I was going to be against these Olympians, and I was like, oh my gosh, I let it mentally get to me, which is okay. I would rather have it happen my first show than the last two. So, so I arched a little bit too much in my back pose. And so I definitely had to fix that. Going into show number 2 in North Carolina, I fixed that slightly, still arching. So I had to fix that again for my third show. But my second show, I loved the look that I brought. I was very conditioned. My tan was on point, suit color, makeup, everything was great. They said a little bit more shoulders again. So I'm thinking on my off season, I definitely need to bring a little bit more shoulders so that, my bottom half doesn't look so dominant. I also think, there's always room to grow in your glutes. It doesn't matter if you're a bikini competitor that has any type of booty, it don't matter. Just keep growing it, because they're never going to tell you that you got too big of a butt. I've never heard of it. So,
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, so this time I'm super excited because we are bringing me a little bit fuller. And so I'm hoping that my shoulders will appear a little bit fuller this time. I've been going heavier with my training as well. And I also had to take about 9 months off because I had gotten, after I had won my pro card, I had chosen to get an augmentation, breast augmentation. So I had not worked chest in 9 months. And I was, a solid, I was a person who worked chest all the time prior to that. So I was a solid athlete. So I think that helped a lot with the front capping of my shoulders when I did work chest. And so not working that for 9 months, it definitely, I think it showed on stage that I didn't have a front cap as much as what I used to. So I started implementing chest again, and I'm starting to see the difference in the capping of the front, even though, you know, I'm in prep. It's not like I'm at a deficit. I'm still eating a ton of food.
Wow. Good for
So yeah, girl, I had 6 cups of rice yesterday.
you. Okay. Wow.
Yes,
I
girl,
don't know
I
if
know.
I've had a total of 6 cups of rice in the last month and a half.
I know. Tell me about it. My metabolism right now is through the roof, which is great. It's wonderful. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to eat all this.
I bet. I was just going to ask you that. Like, that's a blessing and a curse.
Yes, because I'm like, sometimes I'll text my coach and I'm like, David, like, I don't know if I can eat this extra cup. He's like, eat it. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Do you tend to eat faster because of that? Or do you tend to like space it up? You eat, you like shovel it down.
Oh girl, I'm like a wolf. Give me my food. I love food, especially my food. And it's funny because everybody always asks me, well, don't you ever want, don't you ever get sick of it? Or don't you ever want like to cheat? And honestly, I love like sushi for a cheat, or there's a place over here in Florida, Palm Harbor, Florida. It's called Fresh Kitchen. It's great. It's a healthy, to go type meal. It's amazing. It doesn't make me feel like crap, but anything other than that, I always feel crappy, girl. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And it's terrible. It just doesn't digest in my stomach correctly. It makes me feel terrible. And so for me, it's like, I would rather eat my meals and know I'm getting in my nutrition the correct way than to go eat something that I so-called crave and then feel like crap after.
Well, yeah. And I think our bodies get used to certain things.
Yes.
So, if you're used to eating, let's say 3 different foods or proteins or whatever, you added a new one, sometimes our body's like, what's going on? Which that is also bringing me to then wonder, what do you usually do like post show? Like, how do you celebrate, or do you go out to eat, or do you do other things?
So I'm actually on Fit Body Fusion team, and they're usually at every single show. There's usually always my group of athletes that I get to hang out with. So we tend to go out to dinner after. And the last time it was sushi, and girl, it was so bomb. I probably had like 3 rolls and all the eel sauce in the world and a glass of wine. So I do tend to have a cheat that night for sure. I like to make sure I get in, carbs and sodium for sure. And then, yes. And then the next day I usually don't train. I do not train. If I want to walk for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, that's fine, to get the blood circulating, things like that, to make myself feel better. But I do not train. And then I usually have one free meal either that morning or for lunch. And then I go right back to my meals again. I do. Because I feel better. I don't like to binge. I don't like to feel like that. So I go right back to it, girl.
I think that's the best thing that we can do is like, I was just thinking about that. I'm always thinking about food, relationships, body image, because it's what I do, but like, I was literally like thinking, standing in the bathroom, like, okay, what are my intentions going to be for post show? Because like post show as in immediately, like the post show meal and all that, and the weekend and spending it with my best friend and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's interesting. As I'm thinking about it, it was bringing up some awareness on, a lot of times I think people have resistance to really being intentional or honest with themselves about what they want to do post show, because they are in dieting mindset, even if they're not in like a deficit. Let's say they've been really tracking everything for so long, it's restricted to some degree because of that. It's very focused. So they just want to let loose. And I think that then presents resistance to setting intentions to be a bit, more mindful. Like even if the only intention that's set is to honor hunger and fullness cues, like that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be about what you eat. But I was thinking about that today. Like, I think that's one of the difficulties for athletes post show is just like, I'd rather not set an intention to be mindful, because I'd rather binge and have whatever I want because I've been missing these foods and I don't want to be thinking about it. It's like, but we're athletes and we just put our body through so much. If you just ran a marathon, you wouldn't expect yourself to like not refuel after, It's important to think about recovery.
Yeah, and everything in balance too. I mean, and on all honesty, there's a lot of times that I get to the dinner table and I'm like, I want this. I've been saying I want this
Yeah,
all day. And then I get it and I'm like, I can only eat like, half of it because my stomach is so
totally.
small. So it's okay. I'll take it home for later. I'll split it up into 2 meals. I'll eat the whole thing. You best believe that. But I'm not going to get sick over it. So, I still want it. I'm still going to eat it. But I think for me, I'm just very smart when it comes to being in tune with my body and how I feel. And I think that's what most athletes should, who take this seriously, should really think about. Because if you can eat all that food, that's fine without feeling sick. That's fine. But for me, like, girl, I do not want to vomit all that yummy food I just ate.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. Like our eyes are bigger than our stomachs at that
Yes.
point. Like,
Yes.
when you're leading into a show, you're like, it's almost inevitable that you'll become a little bit more fixated on food because of
Yes.
deficit or because of the way that we're being so diligent and whatever. But it's like going into those meals, like remembering that our eyes are bigger than our stomach and slow down, like enjoy your company, enjoy the
Yes.
smells, the taste, because it will feel so bad in 20 minutes. If you finish a whole entree at the Cheesecake Factory, you're going to feel like shit. So slow it down, it's going to be much better that way.
Yep. That's why I like to, if I do pick an entree or anything like that, I'm like, y'all are going to eat it with me. So I'm not eating this whole thing.
Yeah. And then it's not about the food. Like, it's not about like what you're eating or like making it all about the food. It's like about the experience and nourishing yourself. Yes. The time. Exactly. It's like, this is a wonderful time to just let go, relax. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I have to get the healthiest thing on the menu because I just finished. No, just get whatever you want, but then be mindful.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, girl.
So I have a weird question for you.
Yeah,
If you're
sure.
willing to talk about this.
Okay.
You did make a post or something about getting your period right before your show day.
Yes, girl.
And that was the first time.
Yep.
How did you manage?
That was not the first time, actually.
Oh, okay.
I've had it. I haven't had it many times on stage. Excuse me, but I did end up getting it last time on stage, and I actually got it the day prior. So stage day, it was terrible. Like I was bloated. I didn't feel good. You feel like you hold a little bit more water. So I could tell on stage that I had my period because I started sweating, and usually I never sweat. So I could tell that it was definitely my period. And actually, it's funny that you brought that up because, girl, I'm about to get my period again.
Okay, so that's why I'm asking you, because I've been getting my period this whole prep, and I'm supposed to get it on show day. And I was like, if I don't talk to Jessica about this before May 21st, I might be in for it. So what do you do?
Okay. So actually, my coach and I figured out that magnesium is a great way to relax the muscles in the body. And so I tend to take like 200 milligrams of magnesium, and it helps with bloat as well. So it will like strip the body of like the bloat and relax the muscles. And then, honestly, I drink a ton. I do not deplete water. So I drink a ton of water so that I'm flushing it out of my system. And recently I've been doing a lot of Epsom salt baths, and that tends to help too, to pull the water obviously out from the system. So lately I had, like, just before actually the phone call with you, I was in an Epsom salt bath because I was like, if I'm getting my period, which I feel like I am because I'm freaking starving and I should not be starving right now, I'm going to do everything possible these few days before I have to tan, because obviously when you tan, you can't do that. So that, and I also, I tend to, what's the other thing that I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called Vaso Dry. It's a product that I've used like years ago, and I started using it when I had my period. I put it all over my body, and it pulls the water from the cell. So it's really cool. I use that like when I'm on my period. And then when I'm not in prep, I use Beauty Fit because they're also a sponsor of mine, and they have a natural diuretic that works so good. So good, girl. So I will take their natural diuretic in the morning in the AM with my food, and then I'll take it at night, and it also helps with releasing water from the body, and it's great. You just have to make sure that you're flushing with enough water. So I don't know if you deplete water or not, but me not depleting water, it definitely helps with flushing the water out of my system.
That's really good to know. And like from a well, hopefully this isn't TMI for you every time, but listening.
No, you're good.
That you're very open, but like I was thinking what a mess it could be. Now let's watch what'll happen. I won't get my period. We'll have had this whole conversation, but I think it's important because it'll happen to people. So I was thinking, dude, like how terrible would it be if I wake up on Saturday morning, I'm already tan, you know, because I'm doing
it's all over.
Yeah. So like what do you ever put a tampon?
Yes.
I don't know if I should put a tampon early.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Yep. So on stage, I had it in. What I do is I just cut the string short, you know, and it's fine. Then I don't have to worry about anything hanging out. I don't have to worry about, you know, I just put a super in there. And what I do is, you know, usually they tell you, you know, it's about to be pump up time and, you know, class, whatever is going to be on stage, go get oiled. Right at that time, I'll go to the bathroom for the last time and pop one in. So I know that I'm good for stage. Waking up with blood though, what I can say is I do my own tan. I use Pro Tan.
Me too.
So luckily, so good. So luckily for you and me, you know, we have the products. So if anything like that were to happen, you know, you just wash it off. You wash off whatever spots you got. And then you put the base coat on again, and you put the top foam on, and you're good. You're golden. You're fine. So it should not have any, you should not have any marks or anything like that. So, cause last time that is what happened to me.
That's good to know. So do you buff any mistakes out like that?
Yes. All of my mistakes. Yes, girl. I've gotten pee marks all over me. I've got my kid has dropped water on me before. So yeah, for sure. And I've never had an issue. It always buffs everything out, and I'm just fine for stage.
That's amazing. This is why I love the Pro Tan DIY. I mean, I did it all last year or last season. So 2020 for me, but I had to call Alyssa and be like, what the heck do I do? I need to buff something out. And she helped me, but I totally forgot. And I feel like this podcast is perfect timing. And I hope I'm like kind of asking a lot of selfish questions, but
you're good. Ask me away, girl. Ask me away.
I was also thinking, like, you know, when you fly to a show and you have already put on, let's say, like your first base coat, do you rinse the morning before you fly out? Or that's what I was thinking. So too.
I actually do it in a 3-step mode. I actually start my tan on Thursday. I start with my first coat Thursday. And then Friday usually is check-ins for athletes. So on Friday, I'll do my second coat. Usually it's like right before check-ins. And then the morning of is when I do my last coat. So I spread it out for 3 days, and it just seems to look much better. I also, you know, 2 weeks out from show, I scrub my body with their scrub, their Pro Tan scrub. And I make sure that I don't use any type of soap that's scented. I use all non-scented soap. There's one in specific called Cetaphil, and it's non-scented, and it's also a moisturizer too. So you can wash with it. It's a body wash, but it's a moisturizer as well. So you're then scrubbing your body, then you're getting the moisture on top of your body, and you're still able to clean yourself and smell okay. And then when you put the tan on, it's like it literally sucks it up. I've never had so many compliments in my life on how good my tan looks. And they're like, how do you get it like that? And I'm like, I just make sure that I use their products, and I start 2 weeks prior. So
okay, good. This is really insightful because I love Pro Tan, and we have a discount for this show, you guys. It's Celeste, but when I use it, I do the same thing. I prep, and I feel like this time I have learned a lot from my 2020 season with it. And like this time, I feel like I prepped my skin so much better. And Alyssa does these things where you can reach out to her and she'll give you like your tanning protocol. Not to turn this into an ad for Protan or anything, but like I sent her recent check-in photos and then she was like, do nighttime on Thursday, rinse Friday, again on Friday morning and night, and then Saturday as well, like apply the top coat. And I was like, perfect.
That's it. That's exactly what I do, girl. That's exactly it. And it's so much better once you rinse it off anyways, because then the second coat that you're putting on, it just soaks right into your skin and it looks beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited and it smells so good too.
I know. I love it. It's so funny. People are like, don't you hate that smell? I'm like, no, I actually love it. I miss it in off season. I usually am training my clients and my clients are going on stage and I'm like, come here. And they're like, what? And I'm like sniffing them. They're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I miss the smell. It's hilarious.
When did you decide you wanted to help others on their journey, like other competitors and non-competitors?
Well, I'd been helping people on the down low for quite some time. I had an old coach and his clients, he was not able to always meet with and work out with them one-on-one. So, he would ask me, can you take them under your wing? And I said, sure, as long as they're able to pay me for my time, I'm 100% willing to do that. And then it started with also them needing posing. So I ended up starting to help them pose as well. And so I said, why don't I just start doing this on my own? I know what I'm doing. The only way to learn is to learn through other people as well, because not everybody's like me. And I love to learn different people, different mannerisms, what looks better on people, what motivates people. And so I said, you know what, let's start doing this. And so he would bring me clients and I would train and pose them. And now that I am with David and Fit Body Fusion, I just take clients under my wing and usually they're local. I like to make sure that they're local so I can see them in person and I can train with them one-on-one. I have a full setup at my house inside of my condo. So they come to me and we one-on-one train here. And then I also have a setup for posing here. So then they get to pose here and it's not in front of a gym, in front of people where they're feeling awkward. And they can really focus and get the one-on-one training that they need. So that was probably about 2 years ago when I really started to do that.
So it's really become something you're passionate about now. And obviously it's something, it seems like you pay a lot of attention to the details. And I'm wondering if this is because of like experiences you've had or from studying things, like what do you do to apply that?
Yeah, I did a lot of research, because I was so determined to win my pro card and I just could not handle them telling me no one more year. I was like, it's just, I can't do it anymore. Like I am going to make this happen. So, I would watch a ton of Brett Contreras' stuff, all of the Olympians, what I would see that the Olympians did at the Olympia or at the Arnold, I would start taking what they did and applying it to my workouts and seeing if it worked for me. Now, obviously not everything is going to work for you. People are made up differently. Their structures are different. Your body looks different than the other person. So, it's not always going to go the same way. You're not always going to be able to train the same way as somebody else does. You're not always going to be able to eat the same way as somebody else does. Everybody is different, but it's very cool to be able to kind of play with those things with clients. That's what intrigues me the most, I think, is learning the different things that work for different people. It's really, really cool to me. Because what one thing works for somebody doesn't work for somebody else. So or vice versa. So it's super fun for me. I love to learn and I love to make mistakes because then I know what I can do to change those mistakes into something that will bring success for either my clients or myself.
And that's such a great growth mentality. And I think really reinforces that nothing is necessarily like a judgment day. It's like, we're always learning, we're experimenting. Yeah. It's much better than criticizing ourselves and be like, I'm a failure because I didn't do this or because so-and-so didn't come in like this. It's like, no, you're all learning together.
Yeah. And you can't, you also don't know the in and outs of that person's life, of what happened a day prior to show, or that day, or the week before, or you don't know. But the cool thing, I think, for me, and what I enjoy the most, is seeing these women's faces on stage and how much confidence they've built. And then having their families come up to me after and say, you've changed my daughter's life. She's never been so confident in her life. Or, you've really changed her from bad habits and bad mannerisms to a very healthy person who loves life again. I think that is the best feeling in the world for me, because I want that for my kids too. So I always think about my girls, and I pray that that's what I can help my girls with too.
Oh, there's no doubt that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Of course. So is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I would have before we asked your best advice?
No, not really, other than like maybe talking about my sponsors, who are amazing and help me out with everything. I have an awesome hormone clinic. They are amazing. They take my blood and they make sure that, like, my blood work is good, especially after being put through months of prep, they're amazing. They're called Premier Alternative Medicine, and they're locally here in Florida, as well as Sunset Swimwear, where I wear her beautiful bikinis. Oh my goodness, she is absolutely amazing. She did the curly haired shoot with Jay Mannion on the boat.
Yes.
Those were her suits. Yeah, she's amazing. And she's out of California, but she does everything. She can FaceTime you and take measurements and things like that. So she's amazing. Who else? iMagnet. There's an awesome magnet that you can actually put on your phone, right? And I'll have to send you one. So don't let me forget to send you one. There's a magnet that you can put on your phone case. And I would always get mad because I hate asking people to videotape me in the gym, but when I look good and when I'm trying to get a cool new workout in, I like someone to videotape me. And so this helps so that it actually attaches to your phone case, and then you can put your phone on anything that's metal. So all the equipment in the gym, you can put it on and you can film yourself. So you don't have to ask anybody.
That's nice.
It's really cool. So they're a sponsor for me. They're awesome. And then I also have Beauty Fit supplements. They are amazing. I use their beauty bum cream every single day of my life. I love it. Their digestive enzymes, just things that you need. And I like that they are a natural supplement company too, because, there are a lot of athletes that don't want to use things that are harsh on their bodies. So, it does help with that. And also it helps with my clients that are not competitors, that are they just want to be healthy. So I like that as well. Trying to think of all of my sponsors right now. I have Camp Muscle Bodywear. I actually do modeling for them. Their outfits are awesome as well. I'll have to send you some stuff from them too, girl. So don't let me forget that.
Yeah, you're too
I
generous.
got the hookup. Yeah, I got a hookup, girl. And then there is one other woman that I model for at the gym, and her company is called Carol de Brazil, and she's got a bunch of Brazilian stuff. They're beautiful.
Those outfits are amazing on you.
Yes, girl. They're so cool and they're so different. I like to be unique. I don't like to wear all the same thing that everybody else is. I like to be different. So it definitely sets you apart when you get something unique like that. So, and then obviously I want to speak very highly of Fit Body Fusion, because they have totally changed my perception in my life, competing, because I never was able to compete with a team. Like I never had a team there. And it's very different to be able to have people backstage that are your teammates and that are, cheering you on. It's really cool. Jamie is an amazing coach. She's incredible. And my coach is David with Fit Body Fusion, and he is amazing. And I think the best part about working with David is that we get to learn together. He doesn't sit there and say, I know this, and this is the end all be all. No, he's learning too. And I think I honor those people a lot more when they say, I don't know everything, but I want to learn with you. Because I can't stand those coaches that are like, I know,
Don't
and it's like,
question me.
yeah, it's like, well, this is my body and you're telling me what to do with my body. So I am going to question you because I want to know as to why I'm doing this with my body.
Yes.
So I definitely, I praise him and I think he's amazing as well. So, I mean, I think I said everybody that has made such a big difference for me in this year, honestly, they've been amazing. I do have to say, I love Joe Pishkula. He's amazing. He has helped me a lot because I got to work as a Clash girl. And so I got to get my name out there a lot. And, I got to basically go and represent the, NPC and IFBB all the time. And it really showed me that I wanted to make this a career. And, who else can I thank? I could just thank the IFBB as, and all the judges and everything that they do for us, because clearly we want to succeed. So, other than that, I mean, I'm just blessed to be able to get to do what I love, honestly.
I love that so much. Your gratitude is amazing. And it's so nice to hear you just recognize all those people who've made an impact in your life. And of course, I'm going to put your link tree in the notes. But before we go, can you give your best advice for people who have never competed before, but would like to? And then your best advice for those on their road to pro?
Yeah. I mean, those who have never competed definitely need to make sure that they're mentally ready. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, is that people don't realize how much time and consistency and dedication that it does take before even getting into a show. You really have to set aside the time and make sure that you're putting in the full effort, or you're not going to get where you want to be, or you'll drop out and you'll have a bad experience. So I think making sure that you do the research and making sure that you're mentally prepared and you're financially prepared, because this does cost a pretty penny sometimes. So depending on your living situation and things like that, I would definitely do a little research and make sure you're fully ready and aware of what's to come. And then what was the second question? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Best advice for those on their road to pro.
Ooh, road to pro. Don't let no be a deciding factor for you. Do exactly what get the judges feedback and bring what the judges want to see to stage, so that, you can get to where you want to be. Also, I think having fun. I think a lot of people lose sight of why they're competing, and they tend to either get very egotistical or get down on themselves and start doubting themselves. Whereas, I think it's very important to believe in yourself and to listen to what these people are wanting to see from you, because clearly they know the look that they want to see, and just never giving up.
Love that. That is such great advice and very empowering. And I want everyone to be able to reach out to you or connect with you and follow your journey. So how can they do that?
Definitely through my Instagram. That's probably the easiest way. I'm always on there. It is Misfit Miller MS, and then Fit Miller, and Miller is my last name. So that, or they can also they can email me. My email is Miller, like my last name, Chick, CHICK 18 @yahoo.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to put all of that in the show notes. You guys, that's always at celestial.fit/podcast. It is alphabetized in the category section, so you'll be able to always refer back to that, along with full episode timestamps, a summary of the episode, as well as a bulleted list of the topics covered, so you can tell all your friends and teammates about this. And I really appreciate you guys listening every week. It means so much. Or if you're listening for the first time, thank you for tuning in. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode.